Hey guys, it's Wednesday and I feel like doing a video. Uh, I'm going to kind of maybe call this an open topic kind of thing. I've been watching some guys, and also I've been listening and observing some guys in our support group. And it's funny how people um, they have a certain perception on things, uh, and they're pretty animate about how they feel about things. And I'm one of those people at different times. But what I've learned is it's been kind of biting me in the butt. And I'll give you some examples. So um, I used to get really upset when I would see kids overweight. I mean, really overweight. I used to look at their parents and go, how dare you? And I'm telling you, 7 times out of 10, usually when I see them like that, they're stuffing a ice cream down their throat or, something like that. And I get really upset. It's not that I really judge the parents, but I just think, if you just had a little bit more control, your kids won't be, because it's going to be an issue as they get older. And then they're not going to know how to deal with it because evidently they're not trained by their parents to deal with it. So I was very adamant about how I felt about those things. And then I had a past relationship that didn't last very long, but it was maybe a couple of years. And she had a weight issue, and every time we got ready to go out and she'd go to put her jeans, she'd start cussing and crying, and I would get so frustrated because I know how she ate. She was a comfort eater, and she had some issues. And I used to tell her, do something about it. If you're that frustrated, do something about it. Now, at that time, I didn't have a weight problem. I didn't have a weight problem until I was probably 36. Um, and so another thing is in what I've done in my life, and I'm just going to use me as the guinea pig here. I have looked at people with maybe uh, a little less, and but doesn't take care of what they got, and then they sit and complain about what they've got, and they want more. So to to try to talk about that, what I mean is, it's like, okay, so you're working at 7-Eleven and you want to do better in life. Get another job. Go back to school. It. I guess I've gotten really irritated in the past with people because, for one thing, I've always been an optimist. I've never been a pessimist. I've always been an optimist, and I've always been an optimist even in my own adversities in life. And so I just don't look at things like that. I don't look at the glass as half empty, and I get so flushed. Let's see, how does my mom say it? Frustrated. Um, but I would get just a little irritable when I hear people talk negative all the time, and I can't handle being around negative people. Even to this day, it just drives me crazy. So so getting back to some of the guys that I've heard talk, uh, I've heard some guys talking about their life and how they have always known that they're male inside, and they've always been heterosexual. Some guys even are very adamant and don't even consider themselves transgender. They are male, or they don't use the label transgender. And that's okay. I'm not here to say that's wrong. But here's the thing. I think in life you've got to learn not to close the door on anything, because if you're any kind of human being that wants to continually grow, learn from experiences, try not to judge people, that those kind of things. If you go into a room and you close the door, then you're shutting yourself off for opportunity, or you're shutting off the world. Period. And I know about that because when you hear me talk about the box, that's what I'm talking about. You know, a box you can't get out of unless there's a door, but a box you can't get out of. And so I'm listening to this guy. Actually, I listened to this guy a year ago, and then he's just the way he talked was actually I felt like then I shouldn't even be around you, because if you're not accepting yourself as transgender, then we have nothing in common. And so, and he was kind of narrow-minded about it. You know, I've only been with women. Sorry about that. Well, here's the thing. Now he's talking about being with a woman, and that's good, but he's dating an MTF. And so, from the first conversation he had with me about women, and he went into, you know, detail about feminine women and all that. Hang on, just a minute. This medicine makes my mouth really dry. So now he's dating an MTF. Perfectly okay with me. Like I said, I'm not talking about this to judge anybody. What I'm trying to say here, and what I've observed, is that life isn't always what we think it is as kids, and then we grow up and find it isn't, so we start forming this other idea of what life is, and then something else comes our way, and we're having to change things, change our way of thinking, how we feel about those things, which is perfectly good. Why? Because we should evolve as human beings. Every day we should wake up and know there is something to learn today. And there is. If your eyes are open and your ears are open, you know, if you're paying attention, there is something to learn from someone else, from Mother Earth. You know, there's always something to learn. So I'm coming back to me now. Here's what I've learned from the way I used to think about others that came in my path. As far as the children, I still think there's a lot of adults having children that have a lot of issues, and they're brought up on the children unconsciously or subconsciously, subconsciously, in eating patterns, comfort food, and it's sad to see that. It's a cycle. Other children who are overweight sometimes have really medical problems, and so we don't know. You can't judge a book by its cover, and that's something that I actually got slapped in the face about. The reason why I think I was actually knocked out, hit and knocked out, was because the person I was with and the way I thought about the weight, um, I just couldn't deal with it. And now here I am, uh, you know, 18 years later, and I'm overweight. Uh, it wasn't by choice. It wasn't by something I did or didn't do. But it's from medical. And yes, there are still ways to lose weight. and I'm not giving myself any excuse, but it did come on through medical issues. And once you learn how to deal with your medical issues, that's when you can try to work around those medical issues and make things better for yourself. I don't believe, and maybe I will, but I'm not going to set myself up to fail. And so I don't believe I will be able to lose all this weight. I I'm going to make it a 20-pound yearly goal. Why do I say yearly? Well, because I'm disabled. You know, you can't tell. If you saw me on the street, you wouldn't be able to tell, um, unless you really watched me walk. But uh, my day is about 5 hours a day, and then I end up in a recliner. So anyway, so this topic is about seeing how things are, or how you grew up to see things, how you, when you did grow up, how those things changed. When I was a kid, um, and in my intro I just kind of touched bases, but there were many little things that triggered me, jolted my mind to say, hey, you are physically a female. When I was about 7.5 years old, somewhere around there, we moved from Colorado to California. I had an aunt and uncle here, and a couple cousins. And the boy cousin, he's 10 months younger than I am. Him and I always played. We were closest in age. And we went to the Great Vineyards one day, and this is back when these cities in California, the farmlands weren't very populated. And so we were up in the trees and stuff, and he had to pee, and so he just flipped it out and peed. And I said, well, I can't, I want to do that. He goes, you can't do that. And I go, and it was that kind of thing. He goes, but you can squat, and I'll hold you, and you can, and that kind of thing. And that was a little thing that made me realize. And then the next thing, my mom's taking me to get a haircut, and of course, I had really long hair, and when she brought me back, her and my aunt, I looked like Moe on the Three Stooges. Yes. She said it looked like they put a bowl on my head and just went around. But I mean, and the short hair was fine, but then my mom, she grew it out again. I also remember I was 9 years old when I asked the first girl to go steady. She was 15. I didn't know, I had a crush on her. And when she responded to me, what? I just kind of nothing, because that made me feel like I was wrong. I did a lot of things. My dad taught me how to ride a motorcycle when I was 8 years old. He had a 175 Kawasaki Enduro, and I learned how to ride that all by myself. Of course, he had to hold it up and get me started unless I had a curb. And then I advanced. By the time I was 11, I advanced to his 250 up and down the street, and he got tired of me riding his bike, so he went and got me a Elgato made by Kawasaki 90, and I had my own bike at 11. My dad used to take me on his truck runs. He hauled mud for the oil companies, and they were like 50-pound bags. And at 12 years old, I was picking them up. I couldn't carry them very far, but I'd pick them up and put them on the dolly, and we'd do a stack of six. So there was a lot of little things. My dad knew I was a girl, but yet I was like his boy, and I know that that actually brought problems with my brother. He's the fourth child down, and my dad wasn't all together by the time he was really at the age to do fun things with, and I feel bad about that. I got the best years of my dad, and but there's a lot of things, that change, and so you have this way of thinking, and you think you're this way, and then in transition you start listening to people and watching people, and it starts triggering some memories, and that's what's happened to me. And then one of the females in the support group kept saying normal, and I'm going, well, I feel normal. I mean, what is normal, really? Well, I don't feel weird, and I don't feel odd. I feel normal. Hey, I was born without some equipment, and then I was born with some equipment that wasn't needed. I mean, other than that, I'm normal. I mean, what is normal? And people just put too much, people try too hard, you know? Never, this is the whole key. I'm asking you guys just to think about this. Never be adamant about a theory or a thought you may have, or the way you think it should be. Just think about that for a minute and reminisce of what I just talked about, because things happen as you grow up. Your mind starts maturing, your experiences mature you. You start seeing more of the world out there. Your social life is a lot heavier, and you start getting all kinds of different cultures and perspectives and views and opinions, and everything from other people. And then you start saying, well, why did I ever think that way? Or, well, I'm glad I think this way. I'm glad I don't think that way. That's way out. I mean, just never ever close the door. You want to go into a room and try it out, that's fine. If it's healthy for you and it's safe, but don't close the door, because you might find yourself turning around and wanting to run out. But I thought this was just something that I wanted to sit and listen to and a lot of the guys are young, and the women, and I really do feel bad for the MTS, because there are some who really feminize very nicely, beautiful, and then there are some that just have that height and that bone structure that just can't get away from that, and I just feel for them. You know, we as FTMs are able to live in life more like ourselves than they are. You know, yeah, we may be called butches or whatever, or tomboys, but we still have been able to express ourselves in our clothing, in sports, so we have had an advantage. And I just, uh, I just want to remind everybody, you know, just take it one day at a time. Don't close the door. Don't judge anybody else, because it may happen to you. It did to me, and I feel bad. It's not exactly the same circumstance, but still, I'm still dealing with weight. So, be good out there. Take your transition, your life, your journey, make it simple as possible. Make good decisions for yourself. Make good choices. And if you do make a bad choice, don't ponder on it too long. Learn your lesson from it and go forward. People concentrate too much on their losses and their negativity in life than they do what's really good in life, and that'll pull you out of any slump and just keep you going forward at least. So I want to say to everybody thinking about you, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for subscribing to me. Uh, there's people out there that I'm thinking about and praying for. If you're watching this, uh, Patrick, I'm thinking about you and praying for you, um, and your wife. So anyway, be good out there. I'll talk to you later. Bye.